Hello and welcome to Township Talk. I'm Brady McHale. As you may know, Lower Merion Township's Building and Planning Department is a big department. It has a building division, a planning division, community development division, and it takes care of zoning. Making all of this work like clockwork takes a team of very talented people, and we are lucky to have one of those outstanding people here with us today. Ernest Pendleton is the Assistant Director of the Building and Planning Department and oversees the building division. Welcome.
Thank you, Brady. It's a pleasure to be here.
And we were just talking about everything that you guys do, and we're going to go over it over the next couple minutes, but let's kind of jump right into what the daily operation would be of the building division.
So the building department side of the building and planning department, we handle everything from the permit application to the plan review to submitting to issuing the permit and the building inspections throughout the project to final CO.
And speaking of construction, what about how does one get a construction permit, or the types of permits, like a pool if someone wants to add to their home, or even a closet?
Well, permits are required for almost any kind of building in Lower Merion Township, whether it's residential, commercial, institutional. There are some exceptions that we don't regulate under building, like playhouses or play equipment in the backyard, but that even would require a zoning permit. So some of the permits that would be required in some of these projects are building permits, electrical, HVAC, and as I said, zoning.
And can someone get a permit online? Is that something they can go to the township website for, or do they have to come in with plans and actually meet face-to-face with you or one of your colleagues?
Right now you could do either. Last year we implemented the online permit portal, but we were limited in what we could accept. So at that time we were just accepting demo permits, residential electric, plumbing, and HVAC. This year, we have expanded, and we will start to advertise that we are now capable of handling all online permits and payments, and you can even upload your plans online. However, we will continue to allow people to come into the office and submit hard copies for the time being.
So making it a little bit easier by submitting those plans online, that sounds like it could, save some folks some time.
Not only would it save them time from coming into the office, the contractors who charge our residents for that time, but it also makes it easier for us because we are now equipped to do electronic plan review. So the back and forth is not handing off and eating up paper anymore. It's we're able to email them the plans back with our comments, and they send back their corrections, and I think it goes a little bit smoother.
Yeah, it sounds very efficient. I guess I'll ask a pretty simple question. Why does the township have permits and licensing? Why would we have that?
Not a simple question, but it's basically to ensure that all the building in this township is compliant with the minimum building standards of the adopted 2018 International Code Series. That code series includes commercial building, residential building. There's a swimming pool and spa code. There's property maintenance code. Obviously gas, plumbing. So there's a bunch of different codes underneath that series. And we just want to make sure everything's compliant with that.
And let's say I was handy, which I am not, and I wanted to do some work at my house. Would I need a permit even if I myself am doing the work?
Typically, we do allow homeowners to do general minor construction. Anything that requires a license like plumbing, electric, or testing, we would allow homeowners to do minor repairs if they can show that they're competent. So one of our inspectors may give you a quick quiz or a test to make sure you're capable of understanding what you're doing. And in some cases, we may say, no, you need to hire a licensed professional.
Which probably sounds like a safe
Yes.
option.
Yes.
You certainly know a lot about this. How did you get started here at the township? It's my understanding that you weren't always in building and planning.
No, I started a while back, 30 years ago. I started in trash and recycling just to get a foot in the door. And, luckily the township, I was able to grow within the township. I went back to school, got my degree, and I moved around from trash and recycling to the sewer department to eventually the rehab program, CDBG, into the code enforcement area. And just 2 years ago, I was hired as the assistant director of building and planning.
How helpful is it to have that background and really from the ground up, from working in refuse and then transferring over to a more administrative role? How important is it to have all that education and knowledge behind you?
I think it's important. I'm a big believer in hiring from within and giving people opportunities, which this township does do and has done. I think it's important to understand the roles of other people. So when you come through the ranks, you understand the roles of people below you and next to you. And it just makes it easier to feel like a team when you've been together that long and you've grown together.
That's great. And you mentioned about your education and getting to go back to school. Did you go to school for working within the construction and permitting, or?
Right out of high school, I went to East Carolina University for criminal justice. Of course, I got out of college and was not working in that field. Had my own business for a little while. I got hired by the township, and while I was working in these other departments, I went back to school and got a degree in business management and administration. And, with the purpose of trying to move up the ranks here.
And so far, it seems to be working out, or at least going according to plan.
Yeah, it has. I'm a sixth generation family in Merion Township, so we've been here a long time. So, the community means a lot to me, and it's important that we take part in how it's built.
And it's important, I think, for our residents to hear that too, to know that we have. And I said this on a recent show with one of your colleagues, almost to that exact same thing, that this is an important community, and they want the community to know how important the job is here at the township. So to hear that now a second time is really reassuring, and I hope something that everyone at home is appreciative of. Are you having fun? What draws you to this job, or are you enjoying yourself?
It's not always fun. It's not always fun. A large part of my job right now is putting out fires and dealing with problems. However, I do love the job because no 2 days are the same. Every day brings a different challenge. I'm getting to work with residents, contractors, the commissioners, the township manager. So I get to grow as a person every day, I feel like, taking on new challenges. But I do love the people I work with. Our department's very close, probably one of the closest departments in the township, and they're just a great group of people, and that's why people stay in our department forever.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of your colleagues, the other roles within the division?
Oh yeah, on the building side of things, in building and planning, we have about 14 employees. That ranges from our front counter staff, who is our front line. They're the first person you're going to talk to. They take in the permits and deal with any payments and anything like that. Then we have plan reviewers. So when a permit comes in with plans, it goes to the plan reviewers. We have 3-4 plan reviewers, commercial and residential. We have 10 inspectors altogether, which cover plumbing, HVAC, electrical, property maintenance, code enforcement. And I think that about covers it. It's a lot of different areas, and zoning also falls under the building side of things.
But everyone works well together, and there's cohesiveness, and that reflects out in the community. Now, when you drive around and you look at these different buildings, around town, we have a lot of development going on here in Lower Merion Township. What are things that stand out to you that perhaps to the regular layman's eye they might not notice when it comes to licensing and code problems that something that the folks at home might not know?
So it's funny you asked that, because I do a lot of bike riding around the area, and it's hard to cut off that code enforcement. So I'm taking mental notes when I'm out there. And you do notice a lot of little jobs that go on, like roofing without permits, because you get to know the permits as they come through. But for the most part, I noticed the bigger buildings going up and how good of a job our planning department has done and making them fit into the neighborhoods. Obviously not everyone can be happy all the time, but I think when some of these bigger projects are done and the changes are made, you see some taller buildings went up on Cricket. Mm-hmm. Something's coming on Lancaster Avenue soon, the Piazza project. I think we've done a good job at making them fit in without looking like we're a giant city.
Yeah, it still has that suburban feel, but we certainly, as I mentioned, becoming a very popular town, yes. Both not just here in Ardmore, where the township building is located, but throughout all the towns in Lower Merion Township. You had mentioned earlier about growing up locally. How important is it for you? Well, first, where did you grow up?
I grew up right here in Ardmore. My entire life, went to Lower Merion high schools, and I didn't leave until it was time to go to college, where I attended East Carolina University.
How important is it to come back home and to be involved in the community?
When you're younger, you don't really think about it. But as you get older and you have kids and you start looking back at your community and you remember all the fun times you had and the friendships and the family, to me, that's very important. So I'm just happy to be able to take part and have some say in how things move forward. I don't know if all residents know, but they all have an opportunity to have say when we have public comments at meetings and things like that. So everyone can take part, but I get to do it from the inside. So for me, I feel like I've got to help sculpt some of what Lower Merion is becoming.
And continue
Right.
to grow. Well, listen, we do have to take a quick break. We'll be back with more from Ernest Pendleton right after this. Welcome back to Township Talk. I'm Brady McHale, and I'm here today with Ernest Pendleton, the Assistant Director of Building and Planning in charge of the Building Division here at the Township. We were talking a lot in our first segment about the different functions and what you and your colleagues do. Now let's kind of get down to the nitty-gritty of it. Let's say I were a contractor and I'm coming to you with permits. What are some really important things that we need to know when it comes to the cost of permits, ordinances that we have here in the township? I know there's some changes to the ordinances coming up.
Yes. So let's first talk about the ordinances and the codes. What a lot of people don't know are the international codes change every 3 years. So every 3 years we get a new code standard. At present, we are on the 2018 international codes. So we are always 3 years behind the state of Pennsylvania. And that requires our inspectors and myself to, continuing education. We have lunch and learns where we sit in the lunchroom and we go over the changes to the codes. And the same is true with some of our local ordinances. And it's necessary because, you find out things as you start to enforce them. Or technology changes. For example, with lighting, our light ordinance only concentrated on incandescent bulbs for a long time. Now most people are using LED lights, which aren't covered, and they have a different reaction to them. So there are the reasons we changed the lights, the ordinances, and the codes.
And in terms of when someone comes to you with a copy of their plans, what they're projecting to build, who reviews it, and then exactly what is that process?
What's important right from the start is as with anything, the more information you give us, the better project and the better review we can give you. So when you come in, if it's exterior work, an addition, a swimming pool, we like to have a site plan. It normally comes into the counter and goes to the zoning officer first, because the zoning officer has to make sure that everything is compliant with the zoning code, which is chapter 155 of our Lower Merion code. And he looks at things such as impervious coverage maximums, building area maximums, setbacks if you're in a floodplain, how high your building can be. And that kind of covers all the things that we have decided as a township we want our township to look like, the spacing of the housings, the height of the housing. It then moves on to the building inspector, and the building inspector reviews the plans for adherence to the International Building Code. So if it's a residential, it goes by the residential code. If it's commercial, plumbing. So we'll sit down and go over the code, and we don't know all the codes by heart. Sometimes we have to look things up, and sometimes we have to make interpretations of the code and its intent. From there, it gets sent back to the counter to be issued once everything's worked out and approved.
You talked there about reviews of everything and working with specific contractors. Do you ever give suggestions on someone as to who they should hire for their work, or is that not recommended?
No, we worry about a conflict of interest, so
course.
we don't give actual recommendations. However, we do keep files on the contractor. So any resident or anyone who had work done by this contractor in particular, they can submit positive or negative comments, and it goes into the file for public review. But we don't research or look at to see if they're true or not. We just put everything in there, and the contractor has an opportunity to come in and look at his file and put in a rebuttal if he wants.
Well, and that's very important. That's good to know, and
Yep.
to also to take care of the residents. Kind of switching gears a little bit. When it comes to building, there's some ordinances as well as some specific codes, if you will, regarding student housing. Especially, and we're very fortunate that we do have students who choose to come and live here while they're earning their education locally. Is there a list of student-approved homes that's accessible?
There is a list. We do keep a list. We have a housing officer. We actually have 2 housing officers now. We just got a additional position of a second housing officer.
What exactly does that mean?
The housing officer handles property maintenance complaints, rental properties. Every year we try to inspect every rental property. So there are 2 types of rental properties. Needless to say, there's student rentals, which you have to have special permission for. They can't be but so close to each other. We try and limit how many are on the street. And then there's your regular rental properties, single family rentals. And our housing officers split those districts up and inspect the properties for safety, and just make sure they're clean and they're adhering to the property maintenance ordinances of the township.
And if someone had a complaint regarding a rental property or students in their neighborhood, how would they go about notifying you?
So they would contact our housing officer, one being Claire Shields and the other being Steve Vogley. They could contact either one of those by calling our office and giving them their complaint, and the inspector or officer will set up an inspection. A lot of times, we do have a lot of rental houses here that aren't up to par, but we don't know about it unless someone tells us. So it's helpful.
Yeah, the vigilance of a neighborhood. I mean, knowing your neighborhood and what's going on, and it, that behavior, everyone should be on top of it. More importantly, it's very hot outside, and it might be a little too late to install a pool. But I do have one of my notes here after looking at the website was about installing a pool. How would someone, and you mentioned spas earlier, how would someone go about doing that?
So I do want to start by saying it's never as easy as your contractor tells you it's going to be. The process does take some time. Generally, pools are over 1,000 square feet in soil disturbance. At that point, you're not only dealing with the building department, but now we have to include the planning department. Whenever we disturb more than 1,000 square feet of soil or add 1,500 additional square feet of impervious coverage, the building and planning department requires a grading permit or a runoff and erosion control permit. And what they help plan what you're going to do with the additional runoff water that's not seeping into the ground on where you're building. Typically a pool permit, the grading process takes 6 to 8 weeks alone. And that's back and forth between the engineers. It's applied for by the homeowner's engineer and it gets reviewed by the township engineer. Once that's approved, we then go ahead and look at the permit for the pool, which is it's regulated under the 2018 Pool and Spa Code. And there's a lot of different codes. Again, new codes are out. For instance, if you have a swimming pool now with a power cover, you don't have to have it fenced in. You don't have to have the doors alarm. So, there's a lot of things that we look at like that. Of course, it has to be a specific cover that adheres to a specific regulation.
Well, there's a reason why you guys do the job, because I think most just want to know when the pool is going to be open,
Right.
and they're going to be able to jump in, especially here in the summer months.
Right.
Ardmore has the master plan being developed right now. They're doing some work on that and kind of the trajectory of where Ardmore is going to be, and then over the next couple of years. If I didn't live in Lower Merion, if someone wanted to learn more about Lower Merion and a reason why they should come here, what would you say when you look at the township wide, from Bala Cynwyd to Bryn Mawr? What would you say, what makes us fortunate and lucky that we have, all the amenities that we have here in Lower Merion?
I think it's not only the amenities. I think we have residents that truly care about their neighborhoods, and we have employees here that truly care. From trash to highway to our parks and rec divisions, these guys take pride in their work, and we want the township to be exceptional. We're not shooting for average. We shoot for exceptional here.
That is so reassuring and great to hear. We have a minute or two before we wrap up. What else would you like our residents to know, or any of our viewers to know, about the Building and Planning Division?
We have a group of hardworking people. You call We give you answers. You might not always get the answer you want, but we're diligent in our work. I think we work with our residents as well as our contractors, and they should know they're welcome to call. They're welcome to challenge us on things they don't understand. We don't take it personally. They're putting out a lot of money for some of these projects, and we want to get it right as they want to get it right. So, we're here to work. I always tell our inspectors, we're partners first and enforcement officers second. So we always want to try and partner with the contractor, partner with the homeowner to get through the project. That's how I see our department. We're just another partner in the process to get you to your finished project.
Piece of the puzzle. Before I let you go, Ernest, I did a lot of research for today, and I hear that you're a grilling master. First off, is this true?
I don't know about master. I do love to grill and smoke things, and I watch a lot of barbecue shows and attempt to do my part in feeding friends and family.
All right. Well, I think you just gave yourself an invitation to the employee lunch this summer when you guys are out there with the grill. So, Ernest Pendleton, unfortunately we're out of time, but it is so great to sit down and talk to you and learn more about everything that you guys do in the division, also to learn more about the grilling part. I do want to thank you for your time and remind you that you can find more information and answers to frequently asked questions on the Building and Planning webpage. I'm Brady McHale. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.